that game, I mean, the weather was perfect, and they called my play, and I went up and got that thing. So like when the ball's in the air, everything goes quiet. Like
Uh,
you see how those movies are where it goes quiet and it's the ball spinning. That's
uh-huh.
what happens. And then I'm like, all right, I got it. Like if you can look it up on YouTube, Anthony Armstrong Packers would look it up, and you'll see like I'm running the route and I'm looking for the ball, and then I'm like, where the hell's the ball? And then I had to look down to see where I'm at to figure out how far I am away from the end zone or
Uh-huh.
the end line, because I had seen him throw it. Donovan McNabb threw it, and I looked back up, and then I knew I had to play back into the ball, go up and catch it, and have strong hands. And it made it shouldn't have been that. It shouldn't have been that good of a catch. It should have been a nice, easy,
Uh-huh.
but there was some pressure in the backfield. Donovan had to evade a dude, and he
Uh-huh.
threw it up late, and it makes a much better it makes a much better picture now. But
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
supposed to be somewhere. It was just going to drop into my hands, and it was going to be a nice and easy touchdown. But
Welcome to House Rich, the first time homebuyer show where we help millennials figure out where do I get started in real estate and how to build generational wealth. Today we have a special guest, Anthony Armstrong, real estate agent out here in the Dallas area. But more importantly, so I'll tell you about how I came across him. So I'm a fan of the team whose name I guess is too offensive to say right now. The Skins, we'll call them. They're called the Commanders now. And so I remember watching him a couple years ago, on the TV. And so maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I was on some realtors page, right? And so there was some like top realtor event, like this something called like the Best of Dallas. It's like D Magazine. And I was like, is that the guy I used to watch used to play for my Skins? I was like, no, that's kind of random. So I remember clicking on because he was like tag. I remember clicking on the photo, and I was like, oh wow, that is him. So I've been following for about 4 or 5 years. I don't think he's even known that I've been just liking on his page for 4 or 5 years. And so now they got a podcast. I'm like, hey, I can invite him on. So we'll talk about a little bit NFL. We'll talk about the transition from the league to the civilian world, and we'll talk about the Dallas real estate market. Is it overvalued? Is it undervalued? What's going on there? But yeah, that's the episode for today. So I'm super, super excited. I love all guests, but I'm really, really excited about this. And so I rambled a little bit, but hopefully that was a good intro. Do you got anything else you want to enlighten the listeners on before I jump to the interview?
no, man, you did a great job.
All right.
That was good, man. That was good. I didn't know that you were hanging around for that long. Should have said something. Should have said something. Should have spoke up. You'd be like,
So
hey, what's going
I don't like
on?
DM people that are like I mean you're online for whatever reason, but I don't like DM people online unless I have some business for them. Like I'm not I just
Fair
wouldn't randomly
enough.
hit up a realtor being like, hey, I saw you on TV, but I don't want to work with you.
Hey, I mean that's fair enough. I can't get mad at that. I can't get mad at that. But I will say this. I like what you do. I like what you put on your page. You put out good information, and that's like it's more digestible than what you hear if you just go straight in to talk to a lender. And a lot of times going in to talk with a realtor, like you don't really get it broken down like that. So I appreciate what you do. I give you your kudos.
All right, cool, cool. Appreciate it. Thank you. That means a lot. Um, so I want to start like in what I consider the middle, and then we'll probably work our way back to maybe getting into the league. But so at a certain point, you were in the league, and then it was over. So how can you talk about when you decided that or when you decided that your NFL career was over, and then kind of what was like the next steps after that? Did you go straight to real estate, or kind of what happened from that point?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. The transition out of the game, I think like emotionally, it takes like 3 years to really kind of get back to where you're like, all right, I'm gonna be cool.
All right.
But so 2014, I was with training camp with the Cleveland Browns. I got cut from there, and kind of having a feeling like this probably was my last hurrah. Didn't know if I was going to get another shot. I started looking to some other profession, trying to find something else to do to get
Uh-huh.
out, to get out of football. And at the time, those house flipping shows were hot. I
Okay.
mean, you just turn on the TV and they're flipping a house, making profit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll try that. I'll do
So
that.
easy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I made my way to a website, and it had a lot of information, bought their books and started studying it. And they're like, you need to know all of these people: mortgage, title, inspector, realtor. And I was like, well, was like, I could get my real estate license and learn the investment side along the way. And that's the way I went. Really, before that, I was thinking about being a teacher. I wanted to be a coach. Like, you got to teach. And I got these flashcards, and they were for trigonometry because I was going to go for math. And I swear, if I'd have flipped them open the other side, it would have probably been like simple algebra. And I'd have been like, let's go with it. And I opened up the side that had trigonometry on it, Dave. And I've never taken trigonometry. So I quickly wrapped that back up and I said, I'm doing something else. And that's how I found my way to the real estate side. It's like I initially wanted to do some teaching and coaching, but now I'm doing teaching and coaching, but it's inside of real estate. So it ends up working out a little bit differently. I don't got to worry about any concussions. I don't got to worry about any linebackers out here in this game. So it's a different world, but I've enjoyed it so far.
Okay. Awesome. So you talk about getting like your first like client, like how'd that come about? Because I know the hardest thing is actually getting clients, whether it's to buy or sell a home. No, the license, the easy part,
Yeah. Getting the first client, I think I was referred a rental lead from my team lead at the time. And I'm still friends with those clients to this day. I try to keep my people around if they'll pick up the phone and stay in touch with me. But I'm still friends with them. And it was a lease just right over here in Allen. And I remember whenever they got accepted, I was like, yo, that was my first transaction. And they're like, oh, snap. They were happy for me. And it was fun. And from there, people just were in the space to want to buy, and they would reach out to me. And as you get older, this is year 7 going into year 8 for me now. There's some stuff you got to do. You really have to be proactive and trying to drum up business. And for me, a lot of times it's just the activities, the daily activities of making the phone calls, reaching out to people, following up. Those are the ones that are going to generate the business and the leads and give you the opportunity to help some people. It's not the buying leads thing. Like that's that right there. I think I've been down that road. So let me say that I've bought leads, but you just get random names and numbers. And a lot of times somebody they just clicked on something and they had no intention of trying to buy anything. So it's kind of hit or miss there. I was trying to be more efficient and being able to work by referral, being able to work with the people that I know, like, and trust the most. Has been helpful. Really, really helpful.
So how do you build that trust with a client? Because like I said, you get that referral from one. You start with a rental lead. So I'm just curious. Well, let me ask a question before I get there. Did that rental lead ever turn into a buyer? I'm just curious. I know sometimes you get rental people. Then like 4 or 5 years, they may actually buy a home. I'm just curious. I think they come out of that first lead.
We had been looking for a house for them to purchase just recently, like this past year. But it was when the market was doing that quick run up. So that kind of soured that decision. But the thing about that particular client is that they're always down to find a way to make some money. And what I mean is, like, they're willing to say, okay, maybe I'm not looking to purchase for myself, but I will buy a multifamily, I'll buy a duplex, maybe we'll go that route. So, it's been more about finding a way to create solutions and find answers for people. And so that's probably been the biggest thing. We didn't get to buy something yet, but I know that if I find the right property, they'll be ready to jump on that.
Got you. So how do you go about setting yourself apart from other agents? Because like I said, it's more about just randomly calling folks. You're trying to, build a brand at some point so folks eventually start reaching out to you. So how do you go about like branding yourself as a realtor, setting yourself apart?
The biggest thing, I beat myself up from time to time because you look online, you see all these people doing these great reels and stuff like that. And one side of me, I'm like, well, you're new to the business and you're young in the game, and that's what you're gonna do. And I've done a lot of social media. I did a thing that was just like a little news you can use. I was just on my story and I would just post a few things and give little tidbits, and I got a couple bits of business off of that, or at least people reach out and you see the messages roll in. And the one thing I tell people now, I'm like, hey, look where you're at already. You know, you probably know 100 people in your phone that if you were to stay in touch with them, they'd probably use you. You know what I mean? You're going to work with somebody that you like, know, like, and trust. That's what
Yeah.
they always say. You're going to work with that person. If it's your friend, you're going to work with them, and then eventually, people may trickle off and go somewhere else. But if you do a good job, they're going to stay there. So I try to do a good job for my people. I'm more than just the one transaction. I'm going to stay in touch with you over time. I'm going to call you. I'm going to check on you. I want to send you birthday cards, even if you never move again. And that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. Like, we family now. Like, I
Uh-huh.
tell people, I'm like, look, it's like an intense relationship for 6 months
Uh-huh.
because we're seeing each other 2-3 times a week. We're talking on the phone 2 or 3 times a week. They're getting emotional. I'm getting like all these things happen, and then you close, and sometimes it's just like cut off. You're like, damn, what happened?
Yeah.
I hate that part. I like it whenever we can stay in contact over
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I like that because I always tell folks like, all the accolades and stuff are cool, but you gotta like your realtor. Because like you say,
Yeah,
you're gonna be with them way more than you're gonna be with your lender. More than anybody else. Like you said, weekends and how it may take you, like hopefully not as long, but 4 or 5 months to find a house weekend after weekend or weekday after that. So yeah, you gotta actually like your realtor. They need to be very, very personable as well.
yeah,
So
that's
want to talk
facts.
about the Dallas market. So folks outside the Dallas market say the Dallas market's overvalued, is overrated. The market's going to crash here in Dallas. Yada yada yada. From somebody that's actually on the ground, pricing comps, working with buyers and sellers. Like, how would you evaluate the Dallas market?
Overall, the Dallas market has made a quick turn where you go back 3 months and, it was put anything on the market, you're going to get a lot of offers, you're going to get a lot of buyers. Now it's kind of slowly turned to be where it's a more neutral market. And when I
Okay.
say neutral, I'm talking, if you're thinking like 3 months and under of days on market is going to be a seller's market, right? So
Okay.
generally high demand, low inventory. And the way they come up with these numbers is if no other house hits the market, how long is it going to take for homes to sell out? So it was just a couple of months ago. I'm actually pulling up some stats now. It was just a couple of months ago where we only had about 2 months of inventory in
Okay.
some cities and some counties, and that sounds like a lot, but 2 months.
Yeah.
Just a few hundred homes in some areas. So that's what was causing. We had the high demand and low inventory. It's going to really push those prices up, and the folks were putting cash down,
Yeah.
right? They're putting some cash to go above. So they were different type of buyers than back in 2008, even though I wasn't in the market then.
Uh-huh.
Definitely did a lot of asking of questions. But now you're looking at few things that have caused a slowdown. Number one, interest rates have gone up. So that's affecting people's payments. If you think about new construction, you go into contract 6-9 months ago, your interest rate was like 3%. You're like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is going to be cake. I can do this. Well, you don't get to lock that loan until it's about 45 days is generally the number.
Yeah.
Sometimes they let you push it, and some builders are being a little bit more lenient to push it now, but you don't get to lock it until the house is almost done. Well, what's happened over the past few months, your interest rates changed. So that 3% that you were thinking you were getting is now 5.5.
Yeah.
Plus you think inflation, household costs are going up, gas, food. People are getting squeezed. So
Mm.
it's caused a slowdown, a definite slowdown. Right now, numbers wise, you'd say it's probably teetering on being neutral. That's where it's close, about 4 to 6 months on time on market. Anything above that, you're going to say buyer's market. So the good thing, that sounds like a lot of negative stuff, but
Uh-huh.
the good thing is that fast upward trajectory that we've had over the past 2 years seems to have stopped. Obviously it's slowed down. Are the prices going to shoot straight down? No, that's not what's going to happen. You're seeing a whole bunch of price reductions,
Mhm.
and people are just trying to find the right space to make a buyer jump on something. But
Yeah.
also buyers are realizing I don't have to jump on the first house that I see now. So like I said, 3 months ago, home sellers, just put your house on the market. You're going to get an offer, and it doesn't matter if it's just a nasty house. Now, your house needs to be good. You have
Yeah,
to put something nice on the market, or else you're going to be sitting here just trying to find that sweet spot to get somebody to buy your house.
yeah. I remember like April. It was like April, May 2020. And I remember I had a borrower who was like, "Yeah, I'm about to offer $50,000 over asking price," and I was like, "What?" This is before I think, at least I know from my perspective, understood where the market was going, and I was like, "What in the world?" But they were like, "Yeah, we can't get anything, we can't get any offers accepted," and it was like a $400,000 house, so over 10% of the asking price, and I was like, yeah, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, that kind of became the norm. It seems like it became the norm for a little bit of time there. And so you would say kind of the market right now is it 2019-ish? Is it a little bit slower, or is it because for me it looks like just the market's kind of potentially going back to normal, or is it kind of slowing down even more than that? I don't know if you kind of recall what was going on.
Well, I'm pulling up a couple of numbers just so I
Okay.
can go and look to reference. So if I'm looking at days on market, the days on market, they're shooting up. These are very low. These are median days on market. That's still too low. The stats that we get are going to be a month behind.
Oh
So
yeah.
September 1st, I'm gonna get all the information from August, right? So if I'm looking, oh, here we go, month supply. This is what I'm looking for. The month supply has shot up. It's shot up basically from the beginning of the year, where it was 2 weeks of inventory. Now you're looking at 2.5 months of inventory.
Okay.
All right. So we haven't had that much inventory on the market since
And
no.
these are numbers for the Dallas market.
This is the entire. I have the entire MLS. I have
Okay.
McKinney, Collin County,
Oh
and
yeah,
Benton
DFW.
counties.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just chose a few that are around me, but the entire MLS does cover basically up to Oklahoma, pretty far out east, down just north of Waco, and out to like Abilene. So gets a pretty wide area.
Okay.
We haven't had, at least in the MLS, two months of inventory since January 21.
Okay. Oh,
2 months of inventory in those different cities has been about May 2020, and May and April 2020. So yeah, there's a big dip in inventory in those 2 years.
yeah. Okay. So kind of right before COVID. And I think I saw like the national number. I think was like 3.3 months of inventory. And so yeah, so the DFW is still a little bit under the national average there. And so this is going
Yeah.
to be kind of a loaded question. Or so folks ask me, hey, so should I buy a home right now? What are your thoughts?
The answer is, I always tell people, is couple answers. Number one, if you're in a financial position to do it, then yeah, it's the time to do it, right? And then the better time to have done it, you could say, could have been, yesterday, right? 3 months ago, right? Whenever, but well, the stuff was going up higher, yeah, but your interest rates were lower.
Yeah.
And now people are complaining about interest rates being higher. Well, if you're able to buy now and those rates drop,
Mhm.
refinance,
Yeah.
refinance, get out of that higher interest rate, take one that's lower, at least a point lower,
Uh-huh.
take that deal, and then you're going to save yourself some money. The good thing for buyers now, you don't have as much competition. You have choices now. Before, people had to buy houses because they hit the market.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. It was like, hey, there's a house. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, put in an offer. They don't even care what it looks like. 50K over, plus they're going to renovate it. Like now, that's not happening. So I would say yes. If you're in a good financial situation, right? I don't try to push anything on
Yeah.
people just because, like, oh yeah, buy it because I'm trying to make a check. No,
Yeah.
that's not it. I want to know, like, is this your good situation for you? Do you have the savings? Do you have, a little bit of an emergency fund? Are you able to make these payments, right? Because you got to think a few months ahead. Like, do you plan
Mhm.
on changing the job? If you do, maybe you sit tight for a little bit. Hell, maybe you stay at the job, buy the house, and then switch jobs. But
Yeah.
so you have to really think a little bit further ahead rather than just jumping at it. But I would say, yeah, you could buy something, because on the new build side,
Uh-huh.
um, they're doing a lot of adjustable rate mortgages where they're doing, like, say, like a 7-1,
Okay.
where the first 7 years is at a lower interest rate, and then it's going to bump up one time, and it's going to bump up a lot. All right,
Yeah.
it's going to bump up a lot, but you can take advantage of that deal, and then whenever it gets close to that time, hopefully rates have come back down. You can find a lender that isn't with the builder, somebody that's going to be a little bit more personable, and then use that person to refinance into a different loan. So you just got to play the game a little bit differently now. So yeah, if you're able to do something, yes, it's a good time to buy. I mean, you got to think normally in normal markets, homes are going to appreciate about 2% every year. You know, and everybody's like, oh, well, the prices. I'm like, well, people were complaining about the prices 2 years ago, and then now they're looking at it now like the prices are up there. You know, they hit the ceiling right now. So you're going to have to jump in somewhere. This isn't going to be one where they're going to press the reset button and all the homes are going to go back to like 2009 numbers.
That's what folks are waiting on.
Yeah. They're like, I'm waiting for it to drop. Like, here's the thing. If you think the market is just going to collapse, there are other reciprocal effects, rippling effects that come from that, right? If the real estate market collapses, then there's employment issues. There's a lot else going on in the world. Okay, so if I'm waiting.
If you enjoy the show and want to go even more in depth for the content we put out, go to houserichshow.com. We have courses on Insider Secrets Your Lender and Realtor Don't Tell You, a course on house hacking, and even a DIY credit course, so you'll never have to pay for credit repair again. And since you're a loyal listener, use promo code POD for a special discount. Back to the show. Thanks.
For it to crash, like frankly, a lot of people are going to be out of a job. They may not be able to even buy if the market crashes. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's going to get swept up by a lot of institutional investors, people that have some money, some cash laying around. That's going to be kind of what happens if the market were to take a big tumble.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if the market goes back to 2009 levels, like we're at it with Putin, like neck and neck, like something big happened for the home price to go down that low. And so you mentioned talking about, realtors were kind of trying to figure out what prices work in the market now. Home price being reduced. How does a realtor come up with a home price? So you see, hey, homes for sale for $400,000. Like, how does a realtor even get to that number?
You're looking to pull the comps, and that essentially, ideally, you're going to stay inside the same subdivision. So, and if you're in one of those sprawling subdivisions that covers like multiple blocks, you try to stay as close as possible to the target property, right? So whatever the address is you're trying to buy, try to stay close to there. I try to stay within 5 years plus or minus of the year built. You also trying to find similar square footage, maybe not exactly, there may be a bathroom or a bedroom difference here or there, but you're trying to essentially come up with 3 to 5 homes that are fairly comparable to the one that somebody's looking to purchase that have sold within the past 90 days, 60 to 90 days. I mean, like, we go back 3 months ago, it was whatever sold in the past month because things were going so quickly. But now you have to look back a little bit further to come up with your numbers, and you can see which way the market is trending. Are things working their way upwards? Then you decide, hey, do you want to list the house ahead of the market? Generally, you want to be ahead of the market either if it's going up or if it's going to go down. If you're behind the market as it goes down, then you're going to sit there for a little bit longer. But if you jump ahead of it, then you're going to get ahead of all the other homes that have been dropping their price, and you can probably catch a buyer that way. So first off is statistics, seeing whatever sold. That's a good starting point. You can make some adjustments based on, you can see the condition of the home. You can see if a home has a pool or any upgrades. You can give it a little love that way. But basically, I'm looking to see what the hard stats are. What have homes been selling for? That's going to at least give us a good starting point.
Okay. And so now are you seeing homes, I would say routinely, but how often are you seeing homes go for like less than the asking price? Is that happening? Like, I see prices being reduced, but are you seeing like homes going for less than the asking price, like buyers actually giving credits back to the sellers? Like, are you starting to see that now?
Yeah. You're saying sellers. Yeah. Sellers are more lenient. Yeah, sellers are more lenient. So right now there's a statistic that's the percentage of the original price, and at the end of July, it was 100%. It was list price. Homes are going for list price. I mean, at the height of it in April, McKinney was like 110%.
Okay.
of what the list price was. So I mean, you could do the math. 300K plus 10% of that. Some people were going 330 to buy these homes, right?
Mhm.
So now those homes are selling 100%.
Okay.
But if I go and I look at the original list price, see this, I like to dig into these statistics. Um, you go to the original list price is starting to come down. So
Okay.
you can see that the home, yes, prices are still up. Yes, but
Yeah.
it's stopped going up. You're
Yeah.
starting to see things kind of
The
slowly
plateau.
work their way back down. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a slow leak in a balloon.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So that's the Dallas market. I think it's kind of like a good snapshot of the U.S. market. Obviously, U.S. Pacific area will vary, more or less based on that. Okay, so now I want to jump back to the beginning, which I call the beginning. Obviously, your beginning is when you were a little kid. But so you're in college. At that point, like, what's the plan when you're in college? Like, hey, I'm going to the league. I'm going to business. Like, what's the plan when you're in college as far as once
Man,
you leave?
man, I tell you. Okay, so I'm gonna go as fast as possible as I can because I can get long winded, and there was a
All right.
lot between college and getting to the league. But about halfway through college, I was like, I need to make sure I at least get my paperwork, get my degree before I get up out of here. Simply because my mama was gonna kick my ass
All right.
if I'd have spent all this time in West Texas and I didn't come back with a degree. So I knew I was gonna get my paperwork. And obviously, going to the league was something that I wanted to do. I knew that going from D2 wasn't going to be just like a punch ticket, just hop on the elevator and just go
Yeah.
straight to the top. I ended up getting injured my senior year, had some surgery. Uh, I didn't get drafted. I went to a rookie camp, but I failed the physical, so they sent me right back out of there. I
Gotcha.
mean, I was in the league for like 12 hours,
Gotcha.
and I was up out of that thing. I actually played flag football for a
Okay.
summer. They gave me a little itch to get back in there. Caught on with a team in Odessa, Texas. I played some indoor football down there.
Okay. That's
Played
arena.
yeah,
Okay.
and then 2 seasons with the Arena Football League with the Dallas Desperados. So my when I left college.
Quick. Is that I know you don't get rich off of that. Is that enough to like sustain like a lifestyle like arena
With
football?
the arena, I mean, when I was there, I was getting like 28, and in Dallas, well, hell, I was living with my mama, so that was one,
Okay.
rent free. Shout out to that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, I was living with my mom, but I also worked at a jewelry store too.
Okay.
I had a job and I was playing ball,
Okay.
so like I turned down a job out of college. Like an insurance company was like, "We'll give you the job," and I was like, "I'm gonna go play football," and they're like, "Good luck." And I'm out there playing ball in Odessa for like $200 a game.
Okay.
And I was like, can't stay here forever. I gotta go up. I gotta graduate. I got to the arena league and it was like 28, 29K. But it was only in the spring.
Uh-huh.
And so I would go to practice in the morning and then drive all the way up to Stonebriar Mall and go work in the jewelry store from about 3:30 till 9:30 whenever it closed, and then rinse and repeat and do that every day. Eventually got a shot to go try out for the Dolphins and bounced around a little bit, but I made it. I made it
Yeah.
on the field, played with Washington. So
Uh-huh.
uh, the path to the league there was no path. I made the path. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I cut the trees down. I mowed the grass. I made my way through the woods to get to the league.
Yeah. So how does that work? So you're in the arena league. Like, do you have a agent? Are you sending folks tape? Like, how do you get the call from the Dolphins?
So it was the perfect situation because the head coach of the Desperados was Will McClay. He runs the draft for the Cowboys now. He
Okay.
was the head scout when he was the coach of the Desperados. So he would go into the meetings and he would pitch his players. He's like, "Hey, you got to check this guy out, because the Desperados were owned by Jerry Jones." And so, you're in the family, right? And it's you would think it's easy to say, "Yeah, we want Armstrong and we'll bring him on up." Well, in '08, that's when the Dolphins hired Tony Sperano. They brought in Bill Parcells, and they brought like half of the Dallas front office down there. They
Okay.
didn't bring Will, but they knew of me.
Okay.
And ironically enough, We played our final playoff game and we lost. And then we were in Texas Stadium in our locker room. And coach was like, yeah, good season. And he's like, you guys are dismissed. And then my phone rang and it
Mhm.
was the Dolphins. And it
Okay.
was like, it took a couple of weeks to finally get down there for a workout, but I made it down there and they wanted to sign me and I made the most of it. So it was, you couldn't have scripted it.
Uh-huh.
Everything fell in place. You know, you're ready for the opportunity when it shows up, and hell, that's how it happened. That's really
Okay.
truly how it went down.
Gotcha. And then, okay, then so you made your way to my skins, where I lay my eyes when you on on the football field. So I remember, I can't remember who, I think it was against the Packers. Like I remember you caught like a touchdown or something and hit the
Yeah,
Dougie in the end
look,
zone. That's still one of
look,
my highlights in my. Oh,
that's the picture right there
yeah,
over my
that's it.
head. Yeah, that's
For,
Charlie.
for
So
the,
that's Charlie Pepra. He's from Dallas. He's from Plano,
uh,
and there was a gym around the corner. I used to frequent, and a lot of players would frequent it. And he came in one time, and he like looked across and was like, "Man, you ain't have to do me like that." And I was like, my bad, dog, my bad." I was like, I had to get it, man. They don't throw me the ball that often. I need to make the most of it. So
uh,
shoot, I got me a rookie card out of it. So and a hell of
uh,
a picture too. So
yeah,
it's a
so
pretty
for the
good
podcast, you
memory.
just showed the picture of what I was talking about. It's behind him. So, honestly, how is that catching a touchdown in the NFL? Like, what was that? Well, because your first touchdown was not. I don't think it was that catch, but how was your first touchdown? Like, it was just.
That
What's
that
that
was the
feel like?
first one in the regular season.
Okay.
And so like at that point, like my playing time had started to grow.
Yeah.
And like that game, I mean, the weather was perfect and they called my play and I went up and got that thing. So like when the ball's in the air, everything goes quiet. Like
Uh,
you see how those movies are where it goes quiet and it's the ball spinning. That's
uh-huh.
what happens. And then I'm like, all right, I got it. Like if you can look it up on YouTube, Anthony Armstrong Packers would look it up, and you'll see like I'm running the route and I'm looking for the ball, and then I'm like, where the hell's the ball? And then I had to look down to see where I'm at to figure out how far I am away from the end zone or
Uh-huh.
the end line, because I had seen him throw it. Donovan McNabb threw it, and I looked back up, and then I knew I had to play back into the ball and go up and catch it and have strong hands. And it shouldn't have been that it shouldn't have been that good of a catch. It should have been a nice, easy,
Uh-huh.
but there was some pressure in the backfield. Donovan had to evade a dude and he
Uh-huh.
threw it up late. And it makes a much better picture now. But
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
supposed to be somewhere. It was just gonna drop into my hands and it was gonna be a nice and easy touchdown. But I'm glad I got it that way.
Got you. And so how would you? I never asked you to say anything bad at all, but how was the how was the culture, you would say, in DC? Because I know the owner's been in the news lately for some stuff. Like, how would you describe maybe the culture with the Redskins versus maybe any other team? Was it just the NFL to you? Like, did you notice anything like different between them and other teams?
Yeah, the different organizations do things. They do generally is it'll be little things that are different. Like I'll
Uh-huh.
give I wasn't with I had a workout with the Cardinals, but like the Cardinals are a notoriously cheap team.
Okay.
That's like a kind of a thing. They're like, oh, they give you like one pair of shoes and that's it. They broke the bank for Kyler Murray, so shout out to him,
Yeah. Yeah.
Allen, Texas. If you need a crib back in Texas, my boy, hit me up. Hit me up. But like DC was cool. DC was cool. And I mean, I was a guy to keep my head down and just
Uh-huh.
keep chopping wood. Um, I stayed, honestly, I tried to stay out the way,
Gotcha.
man. Like as a guy that like came through the woods to get to this place, like I was like, I'm not finna mess this up.
Uh-huh.
I gotta get it. But then you would see like when I spent some time in Dallas, you'd see that Jerry did things a little bit differently. He
Uh-huh.
took care of his employees, um, like like not the staff, not the football people, like everybody else. He
Uh-huh.
took care of them as well.
I got you.
And so I could say like that would be a big difference in
Uh-huh.
between how the teams were ran. And I mean, I haven't been in Washington in 10 years, 12 years, I guess. And haven't been in Dallas in almost 10 years either. So uh, the one thing I know, the people I know that are with Dallas, I mean, there are people that have worked there for like 15, 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and they stay with Dallas, and
Mm-hmm.
because Jerry takes care of you, he
Yes.
takes care of you, and it means, and it's not, not everybody's making hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
but it's the little things. Like if somebody like, hey, come on down, y'all come and eat, like that's cool. Like people will appreciate those things.
Uh-huh.
But if you don't let people come and eat, and they got to bring their lunch, and it's a people got to like budget and scrape together some money just to survive, that's not a good place to try to make your living. So those are probably the biggest differences, just how Jerry takes care of everybody.
Gotcha.
Jerry was taking care of everybody.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you. And so I know you went to high school out here in Carrollton.
Yeah.
Was the decision to move back to Dallas because is that like where your family's at, or here?
Okay. Yeah. My mom's still in Carrollton. Same house, and she ain't going nowhere.
Right.
The decision to move back home was in 2012 after I got cut. I was on 4 teams in like 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I got cut in Washington. It blindsided me.
Okay.
I spent 8 weeks in Miami. So I went back to Miami. I wasn't on like vacation. So I went back to.
Thank you for listening to the show. If you want to connect with other listeners and also dive deeper into topics, as well as attend live trainings every Tuesday at 8 p.m., click the link down below and join the First Time Homebuyer School. See you inside.
Miami to, with the Dolphins, got cut from there, spent a week in Jacksonville. I was in a hotel for a week up there, had an apartment in basically Fort Lauderdale area, Davie. So I'm paying rent at a townhome in Virginia.
Uh-huh.
I'm not in. I'm paying rent in an apartment in Miami that eventually I wasn't in.
Okay.
And I get cut from Washington, and eventually I'm like, damn, I'm like paying rent in all these places. Eventually I got picked up by Dallas, and I was like, I'm buying a house. Okay. Next year, I'm buying a house. I'm canceling everything else. I'm getting out of these leases. I'm bringing everything back to Texas because if I get cut, I'm going home. Gotcha. And I know I got one place to go lay my head, and that's why I bought my house. And I think I made a hell of a decision.
Okay, cool. So, are you in the same home now? Did you say on that same property you bought back in 2012?
I still live in it. I'm still in the same spot, man. I have not moved. I don't plan on moving. We done filled this thing up with some kids. Mm-hmm. I ain't going no. We done put a pool in. I ain't going nowhere.
Gotcha. Okay.
This will be in my real estate portfolio, hopefully forever.
No. Okay, awesome. So, just curious, what was your favorite city? Not like NFL wise, but just like, hey, I love, or maybe none of them were, but what was like the best city you were in?
Man, well, that's a good question. I'm a big fan of Chicago.
Okay.
I love Chicago. I love being able to walk around downtown and the Magnificent Mile and just it's got a cool vibe about it. I know that in the media they always talk about it's crazy and Iraq and whatnot. And I fortunately wasn't experiencing any of that, but I haven't had any problems with Chicago. I like Chicago. We were in Seattle once, but it was just so daggone rainy, man. It was so gray and rainy out there. Big touchdown on YouTube. You can check that out too. That was a hell of a catch. What else? Where else do I like? Chicago's a favorite of mine. I got love for DC. I can't not say DC. Mm-hmm. The culture, the history. Hearing from fans about like what DC means to them and being able to go out and go around and see the monuments. Really like DC too.
Okay. Awesome. I'm trying to think. Do I have any more questions? I know I'll be like, I should ask this or that once this is it's over. Okay, so cool. Let me jump to the last question of the episode. So if I were to give you $1 million and say you have a week to spend it, or you get none of it, and you have to spend it on something real estate related, what would you do with it?
Does it have to be one property, or can it be multiple? Can I just divvy it up however I want to?
It can be whatever you want.
Okay. All right. Well, essentially, I'm going to try to maximize the return on this investment. So I'm going to spend it on some sort of investment property, right? Be it some sort of apartment complexes, maybe even try to find some land and do some development stuff. I think those are some good plays. That'd be where I go with it. I don't want nothing to, you could go and buy a whole portfolio of individual houses, but you got a whole bunch of different areas that you're going to have to try to manage, or at least hire somebody out to manage. But if you get the land, you can build the houses, even though the market's a little bit different now. I mean, everything's in one spot, or if it's an apartment complex or duplexes, quads, it's all in one location. So I'd probably go that route. I'd probably go. I've always wanted to add that multifamily to the portfolio, to build that legacy. That's me. I want something to be in place that's I can pass to the kids, and they get what they call it mailbox money. So that's what I'm looking for.
Got you. Thank you. So I guess that was the second to last question. So how is the multifamily market in Dallas? Or when I say Dallas, I just mean the DFW in general. Like, folks always ask me that. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a realtor. I see folks buying them every now and then, but are they like, can you, if you want a multifamily like a 3-4 unit property in Dallas, are they available? I know some cities are like, they really don't have them at all. Like, kind of what's the multifamily market?
I don't spend a whole lot of time in that specific, like focusing on multifamily, but like if I go and look, you'll see a few things out there. I think it takes it was interesting to see like the way even the multifamily prices shot up in these past couple of years. You'd see some stuff where you're like, I don't know if I want to spend that much money for that, but there's still some that are out there. They seem like a lot would have hit the market these past couple of years, but I think multifamily is a play. Like here's something for your listeners if you're looking to buy, and I don't know if you've covered this or not, but you can buy up to 4 doors with that one loan. You can get the contract that I'm using is a 1 to 4 family residential unit. So that means 1 door to a duplex, triplex, triplex and a quad, right? So simple, I say simple, but basically you live on one side of the duplex, rent the other side out. That either pays your mortgage or pays for a portion of your mortgage, right? So finding ways to get creative with it. That's the one thing I've learned about this game, is that there's a lot of creativity to it. There's some stuff that is outside of my wheelhouse that I'm not, I don't touch as a realtor. When it gets to some of that creative financing, I don't really get into that, because that's usually between some sort of private funding and an investor that's very well versed in handling those deals. But you've got, when you think of monopoly, I was talking to my homeboy the other day. I was like, I'm just looking at the way that like they're turning banks into like emergency healthcare centers, or what used to be a field is now condos and a work, live, play type scenario. And it's truly real life monopoly. It's real life monopoly, right? If you think a little bit, get a little creative, you may end up finding yourself buying trying to buy a condo, and then coming up with a plan of how you plan on using that, living for a little bit, rent it out after that. There's so many ways to skin this cat. That real estate's just been a lot of fun. It's been creative for real though. So don't everybody gets tied up in wanting to find just the unicorn house, the one. A lot of times the one that you gonna have to pick is a little dusty. It's gonna be a little dirty, and the buyers that can see past that and understand, oh, that's just paint, or change the carpet out, get past some of that cosmetic stuff, you're probably gonna have yourself a gem. I mean, that's how I feel about my house, but I've seen it happen with many of my clients. They buy something that personally I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, oh yeah, we good. And then you come back a year later and you're like, my bad, you were right. You were right. So
Yeah, and I would say that goes for the house and honestly the area because like where I'm at, there was nothing here like 5, 6 years ago when my wife and I bought and like so yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with the area. So um so now they built like the PGA headquarters. It's just like 5 minutes from my house over on 380. There's a
Yep.
whole bunch of other stuff coming. So yeah, sometimes you gotta just find the area that's a blank slate and let the stuff come to you as well. But yeah, that's a great tip. Like that house, unless you're like about to pack it in, that house probably is not going to be your last home or your dream home. So get something that looks relatively nice, but has a few flaws, so you can
Yeah.
capitalize and build that equity,
Yeah.
there.
And my big thing, I tell everybody, I say focus. I try to focus on big three items: the systems in the house, HVAC, water heater, plumbing. Are those things in good working order? The roof and the foundation. This is Texas, all right. So the F word is going to show up.
Yeah.
I saw a guy post today. How do I fix doors that are sticking on my house? I'm like, well, uh, we just had 1,000,000 inches of rain in North Texas.
Yeah.
All the soil is swollen back up, and the stuff is moving and shifting again. Like it's just gonna be what it is. Now, when we have our drought, it'll shrink back, and then your door will be swinging open and doing moving normally. But those big three, if I could take care of those big three, either negotiating you a new roof, because if the roof is bad, it's not insurable. You're not going to get that house.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a loan. The foundation is similar. Most at least on FHA, you got to have the foundation together, and the systems in the house because a lot of those things there are uninsurable. It's going to be straight cash out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So if you walk into something with a bad water heater, like you're gonna have to have water heater money on the back end to come up here soon, right? And I don't want my people to have to go through that. So, and same thing on the selling side. I mean, think about it. If you just reverse engineer it, how many things can you handle to lessen what the buyers are going to be worried about? So. No, I just try to get people to think a little bit differently. But let me add, I'm going to throw that question back at you. You get $1 million.
All right.
How are you spending your $1 million?
Oh, and so I know it's never back at me. So if I have $1 million, I would pay off my mortgage on my primary home. And so I have 2 other rental properties. So yeah, I'd pay off the mortgages on all those properties just so one, I can live a little bit more comfortable. And then from there, that's a good question. So honestly, I wouldn't want to deal with any other property. So I may buy like some REITs. So, real estate investment trust. Actually, episode just dropped on that today. I don't know where you're listening, but if you don't know what that is, check out REITs, the previous episode, and you can learn about that. But yeah, I'll pay off my mortgages and buy some REITs. So I'd have that cash flow. I'd have no living expense besides taxes, which are super high here in Texas, and collect some dividend income from my REITs. So yeah, that would be the game plan on.
I like that play. Now I guess I should go back and say yes. I would eliminate all of my debt. So that's first. Clean your slate. Clean your slate. You don't want to be walking around with that debt. Please don't do it. It's a burden.
Cool. Well, cool, man. Like I said, really, really appreciate you hopping on. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the insight on the Dallas market and just a little bit of the running back to the NFL stuff as well. But where can the good folks find you?
Man, you check me out. I'm on Instagram a little bit. It's at Rated Armstrong. You can get me on Twitter at Mr. Armstrong 13. Hell, check out the podcast. I got a little Believe in Commanders podcast. So we're talking a little football. I just recorded a episode last night where I'm trying to have a lucky PlayStation 5 Madden winner. That's a PlayStation 5. The glare is horrible, but either way, Madden 23 on PlayStation 5. You listen to the episode, it's going to tell you what to do.
All right.
Follow the instructions. You can get yourself into a drawing.
Okay.
I'm sending that out to somebody, to a lucky winner. But y'all check out the podcast. We don't talk about real estate on there. We talk about football though. So y'all can come get some of that work.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So we'll link all that into into the description of the episode. And obviously, if somebody wants to get in touch with you for real estate needs, they'll just go to Instagram and DM you, or
you can go to Instagram. I guess you can shoot me an email as well.
Okay.
Anthony at agentarmstrong.realtor. So check me out over there. You can go to my website, agentarmstrong.realtor. Go get a little search on if you'd like to, but hell, you can call me, shoot me a text message, 214-636-8025. I'm not afraid of it. So just tell me who you are for. Don't be calling. Hey, I just heard seen you on the podcast. Come on now. Hey, I saw you on the podcast. Give me a good introduction so I don't think it's a crazy person.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. So I guess that will be the end of the episode. As always, buy land. Rumor has it they're not making any more of it. All right, thank you.
Facts.
Cool. Where's the stop button? Where's the stop? Oh, no, right there.